Scrappy friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am working with the Ali Edwards Together Story Kit. In the month of November, I participated in a Story Kit Crush Instagram hop where I was asked to use the Together Story Kit to make a layout. This is the one that I came up with. And I decided to do a grid design. I had one picture that I wanted to use, and then I wanted to use this Pleather Come Together story card. It is a thicker texture than our traditional cardstock, and it has all those beautiful colors. So those were the two things that were my inspiration to make this layout. Because I only had one 3x4 card and one 4x6 card, the best design layout in my idea, in my head, was to do a grid layout. I found these two patterned cards in the Together Story Kit, and so together I could make a rectangle shaped grid. I then cut a piece of cardstock that was just about a ½ inch wider and taller than the dimensions of the 4 cards put together. This gives me a small white border around each of the pictures and makes the collection of items that I want the viewer to look at bring it into the center of the page. Your eye is drawn to the center because of this white border around the 4 pieces that I'm focusing on. So I used the colors in the Come Together card as a jumping off point for the colors in my embellishment clusters. The pattern cards, as you can see, are very neutral, gray and cream colored. And so to bring more color into the spread, I used the pink, black, green in the Come Together card as the inspiration and the color palette that I wanted to use. I quickly decide, or I debate if I'm going to actually use the cardstock sticker instead of the pleather piece, but ultimately I go back to the pleather piece because that was what started the whole project in the first place, so of course I had to use it. Now for the background part of the layout, earlier in the video you saw I was looking at like a black and white pattern paper, and I thought that would be the best choice because of the black and the white in this spread, but it was just too bold and just didn't look right. So ultimately I picked this gray cardstock from my stash that is very similar to the gray in the heart card down at the bottom left. I think it's perfect. It's a neutral color and it doesn't take away from what I want the viewer to see in the center pictures, but also adds just a good background color. So now I'm working on my clusters. I'm looking at a bunch of the products in the kit. I pull out these word phrase stickers multiple times. You'll see that in the video. I really wanted to use them, but they just weren't the right shape for my clusters. I found 3 felt hearts from different Ali kits, and they go with the colors, the yellow, the black, and the pink from the card. And then I pulled out some chipboard pieces, some oval chipboard pieces. I made sure those were all the same shape, and they came from the kit, and so that adds some continuity to my clusters. Each one of my clusters, you'll see in a little bit, has similar elements. So first here, what I'm doing is my journaling. What I wanted to do is cut out strips. So I typed out my journaling in a traditional block form, printed it out, and then I cut it up into strips. I think it gives a little bit more interest to the design, although just taping down the grid journaling would have worked fine too, or the block of journaling would have worked fine too. Here what I do is I try to trim off as much of the extra white around the edges of the sentences as possible, definitely on the ends if there's any left over, and then that just makes sure that it's not taking up too much space. So I adhered all those pieces down. I cut that part out because it was just repetitive and boring. And now I'm going back to my clusters. I finally know what I want to do, and so I'm going to hear everything down. These acetate music notes came from an older Allie kit, the Listen Story kit. Now this story is really about my kids coming together. My younger son was trying out for jazz band, and he had gotten sick and missed a bunch of the tryout and lesson portion, and so my older daughter was helping him learn some of the music. For a mother, this just warmed my heart, and I loved seeing them working together. And they definitely are not kids that hang out together very much. So this was really special to me. But the sub-story is that it's about music. They were working on music together. So I went back to the old Listen kit because I remembered I had these acetate music notes. I've used some of them before, but I had a few left, so it was perfect. I loved the heart element in my clusters because, again, this was a special moment for me to watch, so I thought the hearts worked really well for that. I added the music notes. Because they're acetate, I ended up stapling them down, so I didn't have to use adhesive that might show through. I also found these white acrylic hearts in my stash. I don't know the manufacturer. I don't think they're Allie Edwards, but they are the same shape as the hearts that are drawn on the pattern card, so they worked perfect. So again, I've got a felt heart in each of my clusters, a music note, a oval chipboard piece, and so all of the clusters look uniform even though they're different. They're similar but different. Each heart is a different color, but you still got the felt texture. All the music notes are slightly different, but you have that acetate piece. So it looks very visually pleasing to have similar but slightly different elements. So right now I am just finishing adhering all these up. I had to put some foam pop dots on the back of some of my chipboard pieces because the felt hearts had some dimension, and so to make those chipboard pieces lay flat, I had to adhere the bottom portion of them or make them a little higher in dimension so they were even. And I think one thing I missed, I did not mention, I added another border around the page. I thought the gray background was almost too neutral, and it was just boring, I should say. And so it needed something else. I ended up finding this black and white, just a hashtag mark, or just a, it's not a hashtag, but it's just a marked up page. And I use that as a border, and I think it just adds a little bit more interest to the whole spread. It kind of makes everything come together, which is great. Again, I tried to use those word phrase stickers, but I think they were just too angular, like they had sharp edges, pointy edges, and everything else kind of has a soft edge in my cluster. I did find these Allie Edwards chipboard hearts, and I just put some small hearts into my clusters that match the color scheme, and I really love how that turned out. I believe that's going to be about all for this spread. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I do hope to see you in the next one. Please subscribe and hit the notification button if you would like to be notified when the next video pops up. Thank you and have a great day.